Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the first CCA Creative Sessions. I'm Nathan Burstein, and this is Chris Kutsia. We are co-founders of Cape Collective Assist, a photographic crew agency based in Cape Town, and we'll be your hosts for the evening. We've been doing these sessions for the past 18 months for our own crew, and we are very excited to have you all joining us. Tonight, we are very grateful to have photographers Kyle Weeks and Kope Figgins. Jonathan Kope and Jared Figgins make up a prolific fashion photography duo and have worked together for about the past 3 years.
Thanks so much for coming, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Fashion photographers, just say something and see if they can hear you.
I don't think my. Oh, it is.
Nice.
Can you hear me? Oh, you
Yeah.
can.
Yeah.
Mine's perfectly positioned. I've heard that before.
I'll just kick off with the first question that everyone asks you guys probably. Why two? Why two?
Well,
Why-
look, I mean,
how did it happen?
there's many reasons. I think originally it was a sort of it was convenience, but I mean, if you track forward to now, it's like Jared and I are hanging out at a function. We don't know anybody.
We get to lean on each other.
Yeah, I'm hanging with Jared. It's great. But I mean, look, originally, of course, it was a sort of a pooling of resources. Jared had access to a fantastic
Large studio, yeah.
because he was working with a really, really cool producer, and I had access to modeling agency because I used to be with the modeling agency.
Which modeling agency?
Yeah, no, it doesn't matter. Okay. I don't name drop.
Did you make cash?
Not enough. That's why I had to start. So I had to start doing photography. So we could get access to models, and we could do test shoots. Yeah, you see, now that's why you have a partner, because
That's actually not a joke.
because look, also what Jared and I we discussed just coming to this, we'd already sent the pictures to Chris. That was going to just look like a happy snap from Instagram, which it is. But we were actually on a shoot, and we were shooting it in speedos, and you
can't do that as a duo.
Why?
So obviously
You can't do it as alone. You can't do it as a solo photographer.
yeah. So you get to lean on each other. You get to sort of build each other up. You get to sort of bounce ideas off each other.
You get to take the blame gets split both ways.
Yes, yeah. It's also, I mean, again, it's after you've sort of like you've achieved some next goal, or you've something big has happened, or you want to commiserate. Either way, you're smoking cigars together. You're partying afterwards together. You're working off that hangover together. You're going to the meeting together. It's as opposed to sort of just doing it by yourself, which is something that thankfully neither of us have had to sort of go through. I guess. I mean, obviously there's a lot of there's another side of that cheese. I feel like I'm doing all the talking. Sorry, Jared.
No, it's good. You're doing well.
There's the other side of that where obviously, I mean, things take a lot longer to do between two people as opposed to one person, because if you go through, if you're doing an image select from a shoot together, it's like this one, yes, no, yes, yes, yes.
Terrible.
Next one, yes, no. Next one. Times 1,000, it takes you forever to do anything. It's like if you need a plane ticket somewhere, you need 2 plane tickets. You can't crash on somebody's couch because you need 2 couches. It
comes with the bad side, I guess.
Yeah. And in your process and the way you shoot, I mean, I'm familiar with the way you guys shoot because I know some of the guys that work with you, but something I found very interesting when I first came across you guys, I heard of you guys, was you're both in studio, you're both shooting. You literally, the one guy's shooting, and then he's like, I'm over it, your turn. Is that really how it is?
Yeah, that's exactly what happens.
And no usage rights problems
No.
there?
It's, I mean...
Also, basically, it's like sometimes you'll get a look, especially in the fashion industry, obviously, where I'll be like, this is the worst look I've ever seen. I can't possibly deal with this any longer. John, please take over so I can go and cry in the bathroom.
Yeah, exactly.
And resolve my issues with this entire shoot, which I think often happens, and it's nice to know that you can lean on somebody and just like go like, dude, like take over here. I need a moment off.
I also feel sometimes
It doesn't always happen like that.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're really enjoying it, and John's like, dude, like
I
give me
want to
my
shoot.
chance.
Yeah. So it's also, I sometimes, on shooter, because I don't know if Chris explained that probably, we use one camera. It's not like we've both got a camera or something. So I'll shoot a few, Jared will shoot a few, pass back and forth like that. But sometimes it's like when you approach a model or a subject or something, it's kind of like pack animals would. You kind of, herd it together. It's like Jared will. It's a bit of a weird analogy to use given the predatory nature of the modeling industry, but Jared will sort of get some angle and I'll work off that, and then it's you together you can kind of get what
ground.
yeah,
Nice.
exactly. Sorry, I don't know if that answered anything.
No worry. So I'm just going back to where you guys essentially started your creative careers. Looking at studying, I mean, John, you didn't study photography, you studied fine art sculpture at Michaelis.
Yes, I studied sculpture.
And Jared, you studied photography at City Varsity, but just 2 years.
Yeah.
That's quite interesting as well. And how do you guys feel that, especially like the sculpting side and also what you learned from City Varsity, how do you guys feel that actually impacted your careers up to now, or just maybe your eye, or the way you see things, or the way you shoot things?
I mean, very little from my side. I don't think very little from my. Well, I mean, the basic technicalities, obviously, you get to grips with during a 2-year base. I think if anybody has to have a camera and a manual for 2 years, you get to know camera pretty well. Obviously, you don't get models, you don't get enough lighting, you don't get the right lighting, the right cameras at that young stage. So, sure, it did provide a certain amount, but it wasn't necessarily like the groundbreaking, like, oh shit, I actually want to do fashion, or I want to do, art photography, or whatever the case may be. So, yes, it did have it. It maybe harnessed a certain, like, well, you've done it for 2 years now, you might as well carry on doing it kind of thing.
No. And you?
Yeah, well, you see, I'm always like, oh, you don't need to study photography, did it? But it's like, actually, well, I mean, because even though I did sculpture, in second year at art school, you do 2 modules, or you do 2 streams. And I obviously did, I did a year of sort of half-assed photography. But it taught me how to use a camera, and I don't think I necessarily would have known how to do that without having some sort of formal education in it. So it does have its place on that side. But from a sculptural side and being a Michaelis, I mean, and also this is again, being the pair of us, there's 2 things I'm trying to answer here. We're building sets all the time. I mean, when we first started doing photography, or started working together the first couple of years, every time we did anything, we wanted to like make a bigger set or build something, or
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
This is
yeah.
the first one.
Well, that was yeah. I mean, that.
Yeah, the photography side of things didn't really come into play, as in like, so where did you start photography? It was more like, well, shit, where did you come up with ideas?
Yeah.
And whether that was like sculpture or film or just a basic understanding of like what you actually want to do.
Yeah, this is again, this goes back into your first question, is like, why the 2 of you? So it's like, it's on the one hand, like we physically we were never afraid to kind of like try build things or try and sort of create sets, but also there's 2 of us, so we can always build sets, we can always do things. So this Craig Port shoot, I mean, Jared and I built this like bizarre sort of cage fighting thing, but it wasn't like we got a crew of people to do it because there was no money to get a crew of people to do it, and because we figured, well, fuck it, we could just do it ourselves.
It's crazy. You're wiring the lights by yourself. You're putting barbed wire up with gloves on. It's like pretty crazy. Yeah. I wouldn't do it now. No.
So when you guys started shooting together, was there a specific decision to say, okay, fashion, or did you dabble in lifestyle? Did you do a bit of this, do a bit of that? Was there a moment where you're like, no, we want to shoot fashion, we're doing fashion, that's what we're doing?
It was kind of, for me, it was always going to be that direction. It didn't really occur to me that you could do anything else almost. I mean, I've looked at it now, and it's sort of like, it's like when you go on holiday, like taking photographs of beautiful views or whatever. I always feel like somebody else has taken a better picture of it, and I can get it on Google. It's always been pictures of people that have fascinated me, and then. Obviously, I just find the fashion industry sexy, and I find the sort of the people and the scope of the media very sexy. It's one of the things that, coming from the fine art background, like I suppose Kyle is involved in now, I just thought that the stuff that we could produce in the fashion industry and the fashion sort of, or advertising as well, not necessarily fashion, but advertising, it came across to more people. There was sort of more money in production. It was just, you could create bigger things and more people would see it, and it was going to be of a higher production value than a lot of the sort of smaller, more intimate things that I would see in a gallery.